Stugotz here. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I love a good gummy. Whether I'm on the golf course or winding down after a long day of carrying the show on my back, all I need is one good gummy to help me totally relax. And now, thanks to my good friends at CBDMD, getting Delta 9 THC gummies shipped directly to your door is not only possible, it's easy and affordable. How about that? Every CBDMD Delta 9 gummy is packed with 10 milligrams of THC per gummy, and let me tell you, buddy, they work. CBDMD also has Delta 9 microdose capsules that feature 1 milligram of THC, so it's easy to enjoy them whenever, wherever. And listen, I know it's easy to get confused with all the different Deltas out there, but Delta 9 THC is the same good old-fashioned THC we've all known and loved for years. To learn more about Delta 9 and everything else CBDMD has to offer, just head to cbdmd.com/Dan. Once again, that's cbdmd.com/Dan for information, education, and the best damn gummies you've ever had. Must be 21 years or older to purchase Delta 9.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings.
Why are you listening to this show?
The podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
We were just talking about Miami Springs and how Jess is so confused why all the sign-up stuff for the local government, I told her, go to that DMV because no one goes to it, and all the sign-ups are for 2018.
I think I just decided I'm not going to go to the DMV at all.
Yeah.
Stugotz had something happen at the DMV. He mentioned the DMV.
It wasn't me. I mean,
what you were talking about the DMV the other day and somebody with a chair. What was the?
It was Justin Thomas. He was at the DMV and he tweeted out, at the DMV, line is really long. There is a guy right behind me who has a chair. He's navigating the long line by sitting in a chair. And so as the line moves, and it moves slowly, we've all been there, he takes his chair with him. I've always frowned upon that guy. JT thought it was like the coolest thing he's ever seen and wishes that he had brought a chair to the DMV. I've always laughed at the guy in line at the DMV who brought a chair. But as I get older,
I don't know if there's
and my
always...
back hurts a little bit more, I'm thinking about the next time I have to go to the DMV. I'm thinking about bringing, like a little beach chair, like a comfy little chair that moves with me as I move up the line.
They have these walking sticks that transform into a stool.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's very clearly a chair. It's not like, I'm just going to fold it out.
Right.
And it's a transformer. It looks like you're walking with a stool. It's more stool than walking stick.
Right.
But they put a handle on top of a stool, and it makes it kind of look like a walking stick, and it's not as invasive.
Put it on the poll, please, Roy. Do you envy the person who has brought a beach chair to the DMV? I want to hear more about
I could see you doing that. I could.
Well, I would have someone bring something better than a beach chair for me and just walk around with me.
A throne.
I mean,
a throne and an umbrella for him or herself.
Yeah, one of those Cleopatra
Farnsworth
transportation devices.
Umbrella when it's not raining is such a power move. I did that a little bit at the Formula One Grand Prix because it was so hot.
You love it.
I love that move.
Over your shoulder?
Over the shoulder, just kind of hanging out. You can kind of like post up, umbrella over the shoulder. Such a power move when it's not raining.
I wasn't holding my own umbrella in this scenario. I had P. Diddy's Farnsworth. Yes, either one of you were. I think Mike just resigned that job so that Whitty can hold the umbrella.
Yeah, I posted it on LinkedIn.
The DMV of 2018 made me think of what just happened to me recently with what I expect from general Miami government bureaucracy. I walked into a place at 3:20 for a TSA meeting that is going to allow me to get through an airport with fewer lines, and it took 4 minutes. And I walked out of there, top of my lungs, government building. Efficient government! I was yelling it in the halls. It was echoing. I'm like, there is a room where efficient government is being accomplished. No bureaucracy, no lines. I went in, gave a number, and then I realized, oh, they just wanted my $85.
Right.
Yes.
Also, because you're the last person to get a TSA number. I mean, used to be a lot longer, that line.
Are you ready to re-elect Mayor Suarez now that only took 4 minutes?
It's actually always been quick. Always been quick.
Mike's
Did you go to the
right,
one?
yeah.
Did you go to the one at MIA? I was stunned.
No, I went to one near the port.
Okay, yeah, like the ports of transportation hubs are where you get this, and it is super quick. And it's just them reaching into your wallet, taking $85 and scanning your finger.
Yep.
Worth every penny. I would pay double.
Oh my God, they got me over a barrel right now.
Triple.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Yep.
Where does that saying come from?
I regret it. I'm like, is this sodomy?
Why do they have you over a barrel?
Why am I over? Wait, what's happening over this barrel?
What is that saying, and where are its origins? Why does someone have you over a barrel? Roy, put it on the poll. Do you know why someone has placed you over a barrel?
I can't be the first person to make this observation, but I looking at this 2014 flyer about the Miami Springs DMV, it says at the bottom that they accept Visa, MasterCard, all of the credit card payments. But why am I paying to do something that the government tells me that I have to do?
It's a great con.
Because you want it so badly that you will pay for it.
Yes.
I don't even really want it. I just have to have it.
Yeah.
They tell me, oh,
What do
you
you
have
mean
to
you
you have
don't
to have an
want it?
ID, you have to have this, you have to have that, but you have to pay for it.
But you don't have to pay to get a driver's license, do you?
Well, then why does it say that they accept credit cards on this?
Yeah.
On this
No, I think you have
You
to.
have to pay.
do you?
You have to pay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
you
well,
absolutely
yeah.
have to.
to
There's
pay
a-
like administration fees or
It's like
something.
$18 or something.
Yeah, something
like
like that.
Yeah.
And now
Don't
they have
remember
these
that.
real ID driver's license where they're like, your old license isn't as good
God.
anymore. You need to be real ID'd. So that's where I went to the Miami Springs Community Center, which was built by NBA Cares, or at least reworked by NBA Cares. And it's so old that there's photos of Antoine Walker everywhere.
I'm very confused about what I'm supposed to do here.
You should be.
You have given me just absolutely no information
About Miami Springs?
I have a sheet from 2018
Yes.
that was made on MS Paint
Yeah.
with the address, no phone number,
No phone number.
and it says November 21st is canceled.
Miami,
What the,
yeah.
what the
You-
f- does that mean?
What do you mean?
What does November
The day.
21st is canceled mean?
The day doesn't exist in Miami Springs. You enter like a time portal. It's stuck in the 1950s. It's a very bizarre place. I would identify Miami Springs as the weirdest place in Miami-Dade County. It is
That's saying something.
Really?
It is bizarre over there. You feel it in the air. Once you get into the city limits, you know.
That can't be true.
There's like an old timey
feeling
like
of it in the
port
air?
that has a gondola. Like
Miami Springs cannot be the
what's not a
weirdest.
gondola? What's the word I'm looking
We've got
There's too many weird
Gazebo.
places.
30 we've got
It's a tiny little neighborhood too, isn't it?
Yeah, there's so much bureaucracy and red tape that nobody can actually improve Miami Springs. I would venture in there for the black brick at Hurricane Bar and Grill. Oh, geez, no. R.I.P. I got to get that recipe. There's an old Facebook posting that I located, and it was only accessible through Netscape Navigator. That's how there's a primary search engine of Miami Springs. And I got to like a Facebook posting that said the black brick will return. Never did.
You continue to say more and more outlandish things. I don't know whether it's Bruce Buffer or you realizing that there are very small windows to evolving in, but you're being shocking now purposefully with your takes when you make Ginger with the intent to injure a third ranking in MMA nicknames, and now you say that Miami Springs is the weirdest of the Miami municipalities. Like, that's simply not true. Nobody listening to this, Hialeah is so much stranger than Miami Springs.
Way. What are you doing?
It's gentrified now.
No, my Hialeah. I know exactly what I'm getting with Hialeah. I feel super safe with Hialeah. I like
You
the
don't
movie
know
go
what
in
you're getting with Hialeah. You
I get
don't-
the Hobby Lobby in Hialeah.
No, Waze doesn't understand Hialeah.
There's a Chick-fil-A in Hialeah. It's not my grandma's.
That makes it normal.
But
Yep.
when you drive in Hialeah, you're not driving in a place with laws. There are people making 4-lane U-turns.
That is correct.
Right.
There are like lane changes without signals and across the entire way. There's just movement. It's
You
just
could say the same
all
about
bad.
driving.
There's a bunch of Gaios out there. Like, you just navigate.
No, Stugotz, if you're going to compare Hialeah
you-
driving to other places in Miami, I'm not having that.
There's
I'm not
double
having
street
that.
You
names
can
as well.
say
having
the
it.
same about just about any place in Dade County. You
No.
can.
No, you can't. Hialeah is another world of driving.
Stugotz, you didn't hear Mike Ryan say that you're navigating and weaving through roosters, gallos.
Dan, where can you be at 103rd Street and East 49th Street at the same time?
That's right.
Impossible.
Waze does not understand Hialeah. It is a labyrinth. It is Mandarin. Waze does not understand what's happening there.
When I moved down here, I was a little overwhelmed at all the administrative things that I have to do to change my address and all of that. And I thought, you know what? These guys will help me out. They've lived in Miami their whole lives. They know how to help me out. And then I ask about the DMV. And I get a MS Paint flyer from 2018 that says November 21st is canceled. And now I'm being told that this is
and
actually...
a 15-minute anecdote about a black brick at a bar and grill from 15 years ago.
You never had it. You never had it. We'd do the entire show on it if you had it. $15, you'll never have a steak that good.
I am so confused. I do not know what Miami Springs is. I've never heard of it until today. I don't know why there's a DMV in a community center. We weren't supposed to even say it on air because it was Mike Ryan's secret.
Yeah, but...
And now we're talking about it openly. I'm confused about that as well.
At your own peril. You have to go in there. I love, oh my God, old Tom. Do you remember Tom's NFL? Miami Springs is so odd that there was a bar that used the NFL Shield logo for 20 years and called itself Tom's NFL. And they got away with that shit for so long. No one noticed.
Yes. Right.
I think it's adjacent to a hotel. It's like you walk out of the lobby, you walk into Tom's NFL.
There are places all over South Florida doing stuff like that cannot be legal. When Whittingham says there are no laws, I was driving to the Keys recently and I saw on a billboard a really small local establishment where a guy who had taken a picture, a proprietor, had taken a picture with Guy Fieri, blew it up and put it on a billboard. And I'm like, that's not allowed.
No, you can find those all over the place, Dan. I was on I-85 going from Greenville-Spartanburg to Charlotte recently, and there were 2 Guy Fieri billboards. Wow. It is, if you are on Triple D's, that is your claim to fame. You slap Guy's face on your menu, on your website, on a billboard, you put it on the side of the road.
That's not allowed. That can't be allowed.
Yes, it
Fieri,
is.
You cannot
Guy
use...
Fieri's image is public domain. You can put it anywhere. It's free. It's like a duck. You can do whatever you want with Guy Fieri's face.
LeBron used to litigate that stuff when shitty murals would pop up in Miami. LeBron's people would come in and exterminate them.
But you can't find them all, Dan. That's the point. And you certainly can't find them in the Keys. I mean...
But Guy Fieri specifically goes to these places off the beaten path because he wants the legend of Guy Fieri to grow. So he goes to your diner, your drive-in, your dive. He eats your famous thing that you have there, and then you talk about it for months, for years. It becomes your claim to fame, and then it makes Guy more famous and makes you more famous. It's a win-win scenario, symbiotic relationship.
No, it cheapens, I would say, Guy Fieri, and I believe that you might have it wrong when it comes to the legality of name and likeness. I believe you need Fieri's approval to do that, and I believe Fieri's lawyers can rain down judgments on this that don't allow you.
That's not good for Brand Fieri, though. Yeah. Fieri loves it. He loves being the mayor of small town America.
Flavor Town.
Flavor Town.
Get it right, man.
Fine.
Come on,
Yeah.
get it right.
Yeah.
Fine.
He's not a litigious man. He is for the people, of the people, by the people. He is Guy Fieri.
Put it on the poll, Roy. Should Guy Fieri be America's new constitution? And also put on the poll, if you're canceling a day, shouldn't it be January 6th? I don't understand why November 21st is canceled.
Half the country.
Top 5 weirdest places in Miami. Wow.
That was exciting.
Mostly municipalities with one possible exception. Number 5, we'll go with Hialeah. Just too many gallos. Too many. Even like Little Havana doesn't have as many gallos.
It's a lot of roosters. I don't understand.
Why are there so many gallos here? A lot of them look like they escaped, if you catch my drift. Yep.
That's an Amber Alert.
Amber Alert, yeah.
Amber Alert.
Oh, boy.
No,
$25.
they're on to us.
Yeah.
They're on to us.
Escambia County.
Mine's buzzing, though. It's not beeping.
We talked about Miami Springs too much. Too much. Number 4, Alapata. Rest in peace, Las Rosas.
Oh my God, I just drove past there the other day. What the?
We're talking too much about dangerous places
It's
right now.
It's the Amber Alert. I think it arrives at different moments.
Don't put your phone on silent, though. I mean,
I feel like the Amber Alert is the one thing that passes the silent barrier.
Yeah, it's just nonstop.
No, it doesn't, because I'm getting the same one, and you don't hear
Totally
my phone.
ruining my top 5. Number three.
Go ahead.
Coral Gables, but the Palmetto Bay version of Coral Gables. For those that don't know, Coral Gables is like where the University of Miami is, and about 17 miles south, like damn near by Homestead, further south than Homestead, there is a stretch that is also Coral Gables, where the street signs are on the ground because Coral Gables has the rights to the shoreline. So it's a very bizarre situation. Number 2, Quail Roost Drive. Oh my God!
I love 184th.
I did this thing one day where I went to Yelp and I looked for the worst taverns I could find.
Right.
It was a very destructive phase of my life. I wanted to go somewhere where I could burst through saloon doors and just be miserable.
Worse than the Deuce. You're looking for stuff.
Oh, I love the Deuce. The Deuce, similar variant, but this is way worse.
Way worse than the Deuce?
Yeah, and the Deuce.
Mike,
Bourdain has often said that the Deuce is his favorite place.
Mike, the Deuce is considered universally the worst bar on South Beach. It also can be the best bar.
It's the best bar.
I mean, but it's like Ted's. Like these are places
Ted's is an imposter compared to Max Club Deuce.
Understood, but you're
So
not.
the Deuce is a happy place for
No,
you?
Yes.
Okay,
but
good.
because it's dirty and sad, and the
Right.
Keith Richards impersonator is still there
And his
by
dog.
the door.
They allow his dog. Yeah, Bourdain would be there all the time.
Yeah, he waxed poetic about that place. Like I wanted to go there. Unfortunately, it's a cash only. So
Yeah, but it's
I
also
didn't-
dirty. It's like Mike is celebrating something that has a reputation for being bad on purpose, and that's part of the charm.
Yes, that is entirely the charm. It's unchanged when Mac opened it. There's a lot of Miami Vice style lighting in there. There's a pool table.
There's a Keith Richards impersonator who's
dog.
been there for 15 years.
Sounds like a feature, not a bug.
I think you need a security code to get to the bathroom there. Yeah, and number 1 is Miami
al-
Springs.
You also need security to get to the bathroom there.
Yeah, but you should watch that place during Food and Wine Week down here because everyone's a little Anthony Bourdain hipster and all Googled the same photo of Bourdain wearing that T-shirt. There's a line out the door. Stay the away from Max. All right, that's our place. That and Tom's NFL.
Stugotz here. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I love a good gummy. Whether I'm on the golf course or winding down after a long day of carrying the show on my back, all I need is one good gummy to help me totally relax. And now, thanks to my good friends at CBDMD, getting Delta 9 THC gummies shipped directly to your door is not only possible, it's easy and affordable. How about that? Every CBDMD Delta 9 gummy is packed with 10 milligrams of THC per gummy, and let me tell you, buddy, they work. CBDMD also has Delta 9 microdose capsules that feature 1 milligram of THC, so it's easy to enjoy them whenever, wherever. And listen, I know it's easy to get confused with all the different Deltas out there, but Delta 9 THC is the same good old-fashioned THC we've all known and loved for years. To learn more about Delta 9 and everything else CBDMD has to offer, just head to cbdmd.com/Dan. Once again, that's cbdmd.com/Dan for information, education, and the best damn gummies you've ever had. Must be 21 years or older to purchase Delta 9.
Don Le Batard.
Oh, I think Larry Fitzgerald's on the green right there.
Stugotz.
That's Alfonso Ribeiro.
How do you think that Larry Fitzgerald
And the son. The son.
Oh, the son.
To be fair,
All right, whatever.
Alfonso Ribeiro has a great ass.
This is the Don Le Batard show with the Stugotz.
We're presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code DAN for a special offer when you sign up. That's code DAN, only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Ricky, I don't know the most impressive feat you've ever seen in a weight room, but I saw Nick Chubb. He was
Oh my God, this was
squatting
unbelievable.
610 pounds. He squatted it twice. the bar was bent. It's a ridiculous amount of weight. I've heard the stories about Adrian Peterson. Have you ever been awed by what someone was throwing around in the weight room?
That's impressive. I actually met Nick a couple of weeks ago at an autograph signing, and I was taken back by like how like built he is. And I assumed, because I was a football player, I assumed that he's probably does incredible things in the weight room. I always push myself in the weight room, so I always wanted to be the guy who was the impressive one in the weight room. And I think my most impressive feat in the weight room is I got to a point my first year in Miami where I was bench pressing like 405 for 3 reps.
That's a monster amount of weight. And do you need strength up there?
I mean, if you watch film, I had a pretty nasty stiff arm, and it makes a difference. And also, I think you need strength for the protection, because the way I ran, my shoulders took a pounding, and so I think just having that muscle mass and that strength, it helped me stay relatively healthy.
How often do you run into a football player where you're like, whoa, this dude's built? Like, what were you doing evolution of the position stuff with Nick Chubb, or were you just saying like, holy shit, this guy is obviously very strong?
Well, being around football, there's, you recognize when there's a specimen, and usually the specimen is relative to the position, so I remember when I met receiver by the name of David Boston. Okay. And same thing when I met another receiver, Brandon Marshall. It's for their position, they stick out. There's something distinctive. And you see most running backs, especially now, you see a couple of big backs, but you don't see a bunch. And so being around a running back that's built like that, first thing you think is, even if he was a linebacker, you're still like, man, he's built for a linebacker. So you can tell when someone has a distinctive build. I had a bonfire. I hosted a bonfire this past weekend. By the way, I feel like the thing I'm most known for these days is this show. We had a guy drive all the way up from San Diego to visit the bonfire, and he knew me. He kind of knew who I was, but he really was a fan because of hearing me on the show. And the one request he made, he said his bucket list, and I don't understand, but his bucket list was to smoke a joint with Stugotz. I mean,
I would think it would
didn't
be
make
you.
any promises.
I
didn't make any promises, but I said if anyone could help you achieve that, I might be on that short list.
But you're not on his bucket list? Did he not want to smoke a joint with you at your hosted bonfire? Great sentence. Great way to start a sentence, by the way. I hosted a bonfire this weekend.
What goes on at those exactly?
Yeah. Well, so there's a place down here, right, just a mile or two from my house, where there's a bunch of fire pits on a beach. And we weren't the only bonfire. There's probably 50 different bonfires. And it's just a cool LA vibe where people can come out to the beach and sit around a fire, roast marshmallows, pass the joint around, have conversations. A big part of what we're trying to do with the brand is create community. A place where people can just come and be themselves. So it was the first one, and it was fun. But I'm noticing, almost on a daily basis, the responses I get from people are related to my appearances on this podcast.
Well, you and I have talked before, and it's something you've always craved in some ways and found kind of empty about stardom at the top point of stardom when you felt it, which is you wanted an honest, authentic connection with people. And I suspect that people listening to you on this show probably know you a little bit better than the guy running in the vessel of the running back and they wanted to talk football with you, or they wanted to talk whatever. So I'm guessing you're getting more honest or more authentic interactions, something that feels more personal to you.
Well, I'll say, the epitome of that are the conversations I have with the astrological conversations I have with people that hear me speak, and they want to hear me speak this way about them and their lives. And those are my favorite conversations, just it's amazing, really intelligent, usually men, really intelligent men who after an hour and a half of talking, about astrology and life, it's like they pick it up. And I feel like we become like connected on a level that I'm even more connected with than some of the people I would call friends, It's interesting. I feel like in these conversations I have with people, I have a deeper connection than I have with the people that I'm running a company with, Because when we're doing the company stuff, it's right, the outer personalities come out and intermingle, but people know when they book time with me, they have a sense of where the conversation is going. And so there's this deeper rapport, this deeper connection that goes on. And that's what I've been looking for.
Isn't it born, though, of having commonalities of interest or commonalities of curiosities where they're speaking to you? This is your favorite subject matter, period, is it not? You'd rather talk about this than yourself, would you not?
Of course. And I think because I've become more open in talking about it, there are people, there's an expectation. People know what they're getting. Where I think before people would come and want to talk to me and all they know is me as a football player. And so it's awkward to go from there to where I am today. But I think this platform is giving me the opportunity to be myself in the most genuine and authentic way that I've found.
On what rare occasions will you find yourself longing for football, longing for whatever was happening back then?
The longings I get are more they're more aspirational. Right. It's not the actual like the physical experience of getting hit, but there is something about like every day going out there and trying to be better and improving and making a difference. And so, sometimes if I'm my life is like at a standstill and I feel like I'm not being active enough and I watch football and like it'll inspire me to I need to do something.
Have you ever been as dedicated to anything because of the discipline it requires, because you're being paid for it, because you got people chasing you around, coaches making sure that you're on schedule and everything else? Have you ever applied that kind of discipline to anything else you've done? Or is it even possible to apply that kind of discipline to anything else you do?
I'd say in my studies, I have that type of discipline, but it's different because it's not something that is put on me from the outside. It's something that it arises from within. And so like every morning, I'm in the book, and I'm trying to deepen my understanding of some of these concepts.
The book or a book? The astrology book?
It's the book, meaning whatever book I'm digging into to try to better understand something.
But no one's pushing you to do it, which is what you got in football. The whole machine was pushing you toward get better at this, be excellent.
Yeah, I think that's in a positive sense. That's the value of peer pressure. But the issue is you have to make sure that the peers are pressuring you to something that's actually like meaningful to you. And I think I got to a point in football where the peer pressure was pressuring me to something that was more meaningful to other people than it was to me. And I needed that intensity and that passion, but I needed to find a way to channel it in ways that were more meaningful to me. And I think in studying and understanding life, the world, the cosmos, it's where I've been able to channel that passion.
How much do you think that the struggles that a lot of ex-athletes have is in not having that external pressure and having to find it internally? And did you struggle in the immediate aftermath of not having that external pressure?
Yeah. I didn't because when I retired for the second time, it was my second time. So I already knew how to do it, and I was even compelled by that. There were other things. I had inner drives that were pushing me that were more, more prescient, more valuable than the football drives. And in the first retirement, I had the external pressure of like, my life is falling apart. I have to do something. I have to figure this out, So that external pressure of my life is falling apart. I have to do something about this. It helped me find the answers so that the second time I retired, I was ready to go. And so, now I'm not suggesting that, that players take a year off and and retire in the middle of their career. But I would suggest people, professionals, any professionals that are really like driven to a lot of success early, that they use their vacation or their downtime or their off season to really like explore in other parts of themselves.
Well, I remember you went in a van in Australia, right? You went out for months, and this is where it came to you most strongly that you were doing something that ran counter to what it is that you should be doing. But life falling apart is not something even next to you that I could see. Life falling apart?
Well, life falling apart in the sense that everything that I built my life on, football, I was giving up. That's what I mean. Meaning, if I wanted, as I'm looking at my life moving forward, it was something like Humpty Dumpty. I had to like put the pieces back together. But part of them falling apart was that I didn't love the way the pieces were put together in the first place. So difficult, but an opportunity to rebuild them in a more meaningful way.
I heard you speaking at a seminar recently, and I did not realize that you were having suicidal thoughts during some of that. I did not realize that it was that turbulent.
Like, I don't want to take suicidal thoughts lightly, but I think anyone who doesn't have the thought of the suicide thought cross their mind, I think is blocking something. I think for me, because for me, it was a death. It was a death of an idea of myself, right? And I was so connected to that idea that the death of that idea, I related it to the death of myself. That was the problem, right? That I had to realize that there was more to me than this. So it was kind of like a suicide, right? So I could get to the other side.
I would say, from my vantage point, that you basically fast forwarded the hurt that many retired athletes grapple with for 30 and 40 years afterward, that you basically condensed it to like this incredibly painful, tear the Band-Aid off experience, and now I'm on the other side. Or 6 months later, I'm on the other side towards something that feels like freedom. And you haven't done a whole lot of looking back since then.
Well, I just remember growing up in church, all the people that look back, like, it didn't end well for them.
You don't spend a lot of time. You can't be terribly present if you're spending a lot of time looking into your past, right?
I mean, you turn to salt. It's real.
What are the options that you have this week on the charts in front of you? How accurate is the birth information? I saw Bad Bunny. I saw J-Lo. Who else is on there?
Bad Bunny, J-Lo, and Juan Soto.
All right. Which one stood out to you? Which one did you like?
So this is fun. I'm really excited. J-Lo by far. So you asked a question about accurate birth times. There are no accurate birth times for any of these three people. But there's a technique in astrology called rectification. Okay. And rectification is when you don't have an accurate birth time and you take life events and you try to match up life events with an accurate birth time. Okay. And so the other day when I saw the news that she got married, I thought, we don't have an accurate time for J-Lo. This would be a good time to look at the chart and see if we can get some clues through rectification. And, I'm not saying it's accurate, but it feels so good, and I think I got it. So I got her at a 7:25 p.m. birth time. Okay. That's rectified by Eric Byron. Okay. And so it's interesting because we rectify charts based on major life events, okay? Meaning that you can look at a chart and you can see when major life events are going to occur, right? And so getting married, for someone is a major life event. And so I looked at the chart and I tried to match up and find that birth time that would correspond with someone getting married, okay? And it's like the chart here is so beautiful, this chart that I found, because it reminds me of what I said about Tom Brady's chart, that like Tom Brady was born to be Tom Brady. Okay. And this chart of J-Lo was born to be J-Lo. Okay. It's like I look at the chart and when I interpret it, it feels like a rom-com. It feels like and all of her movies, it's the same theme. Okay. And as I look at that is why I think the reason she's so successful is because she just is being herself. Okay. She's being herself. Okay. And so in this chart, if I'm talking to this person, a young J-Lo, I'm looking at this chart. Okay. An image I might use. Okay. I would talk about romance, okay? And I would bring in the fairy tale and say, in this life, J-Lo, you're going to have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find your prince, okay? All right. The area of the chart we call the 5th house is about love affairs. Love affairs, okay? Love affairs. And love affairs, the way I define them, relationships with people we don't end up with, okay? But the ideal is through these love affairs, we're trying to figure out, like, what is really right for us, okay? 5th house used to be called the house of courtship, but we don't really use that term anymore, okay? But in the modern day, courtship are like marriages, marriages that don't work out, okay? Right. So my sense, part of the fairy tale fashion is that I think she found her prince, okay? And the beauty of it is as a modern fairy tale, okay? Right? This idea of don't be ashamed of falling in love. Don't be ashamed of getting a divorce, right? Keep believing in love, right? Keep going. Don't be ashamed of even going back to someone who it didn't work with in the past, okay? I think this is a beautiful, more realistic kind of fairy tale.
Is it possible in fairy tales sometimes someone kisses a frog and then they leave before the prince becomes a prince? You know what I mean? Like the back was turned, or like it took a little too long for the frog to become a prince, and that's what happened here?
Exactly. Sometimes there's more of a process, right? I think that's the real fairy tale, is that true love, finding it, having it, it's a process, okay? It's a journey, right? It's like, that's the idea, I think, of the fairy tales, right? That there are these epics, these journeys where people have to go through things. And it just feels so real, and the symbolism would suggest that she's found her soulmate. And soulmate is something that is even more of a process, right? It takes even more time to figure that out. To find someone that you have a connection with physically, that's easy, right? Someone that you have a connection with emotionally, that's a little more difficult, but it's easy. A mental connection, again, a little bit more difficult. Like a soul, deep connection, okay? Right? That takes time to first, you got to learn about your own self and who you are at your deepest level, and then finding someone who you're resonant with on that level. And I think this is a great story of what that process actually looks like.
Could you have more than one soulmate? Like, as you change as a person, does your soul change also? Is your soul always the same?
I call those pre-soulmates because they're preparing you for that one.
So is your soulmate just your last soulmate then?
Yeah. Because that's how you know it's the soulmate, because your mind stops imagining other people.
What if you just die? Like while you're with someone that's not your soulmate? That's the value of the soulmate. When I'm talking to someone about the soulmate, the way I define it is a relationship with someone who okay, after this life, right? You're gonna still have some contact with them. That's how deep the connection feels. Could you have post soulmates, like after you go into the beyond, whatever, right? And you had your soulmate here while you were living, but then your soul after you're gone has now met another soul that was more of a soulmate.
Yeah, I think ultimately there's fewer people. What's changing, right? We're always evolving. I think it's rare to find your soulmate on Earth. I think most people do find their soulmate in the beyond, just because most people aren't living soulful lives. Right? It's like you have to live from a soulful place to be able to attract a soulmate.
That made Billy happy.
Well, because you could also, let's say you have a soulmate, right? But you just, for whatever reason, for whatever factors, you and your soulmate never meet. Maybe you were geographically in different places, or like in different economic statuses, right? Like, and you have a soulmate that you just never came across on Earth. Now your souls in the beyond could, meet.
That's more common than not, actually.
Do you ever say to anybody, Ricky, God almighty, that's a dumb question?
Wow. Do I say it out loud? No, not like that. Do I think it sometimes? I'm sure I have, but not since I've actually been not in this environment. I haven't had that thought.
You are open. You are an open vessel in this environment, willing to tolerate any amount of Billy.
These were good questions, Dan. He even said that it happens more often than not. You're just being closed-minded on this subject.
I mean, silly, whatever. It's good stuff.
Ricky, good talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.